Welcome to a seed starting thing with yours truly. It's probably only my mom watching right now, so hey mom, what's up? How are you doing? I'll call you later when you get off work. So I haven't fully planted anything yet, but I do have my tray ready, and I'm just using the black plastic Jiffy tray that will come with the clear dome. And then inside I have the little trays with the 6 cell packs. I have used seed starting mix, and the reason I use that, this is the one I use Burpee, is because it's really fine. There's no huge clumps in it. It does have a little bit of cocoa coir in it to help kind of retain that moisture. I also put in a little bit, I used an old jelly jar. So half of a jelly jar of worm castings into my whole tub of dirt. So what I do when I start my seeds is I take my soil, I dump it in a plastic tote, boil water, dump the boiling water into the tote with the dirt, and then close it. And so I do that because it helps cut down on it, like if there's any fungal or nasty things in the soil just from being from like a big box store. I've done that in the past few years and I've been really impressed with it. It also pre-dampens your soil, which makes seed starting easier, and it's warm to work with. So your seeds that need to be warm to germinate, all of these on this tray, it helps kind of kickstart that. I put in, after I set it to kind of steam itself for about 20 minutes, I then put in that half jelly jar, half jelly jar of worm castings, and then I dumped a whole bunch of ground cinnamon in it. So I've heard mixed things about the cinnamon, and I'll tell you my experience. It's supposed to help with preventing any fungal or mold issues with your seeds, since a lot of the time it will have a dome over it and it will be constantly moist. The past few years I did cinnamon in the soil for seed starting, no mold issues. Last year I forgot my cinnamon and I had a whole mold infestation in my tray. So that's my experience. Is that just happenstance? Is it placebo? Who knows? Why push it? So this year I did add cinnamon to the dirt. Not so much that it's overpowering and smelling, but it is present in the dirt. One thing I am trying differently this year, I have a bag of vermiculite, and I will be putting that on top of the 6 cell trays for really small seeds like poppy seeds, because they have to have light to germinate, but they also have to stay moist. Not wet, you don't want them swimming, but they do have to stay quite damp. So putting the vermiculite on top and then dumping your seeds and putting a little bit more on top will allow for light to pass through, but the vermiculite acts as a sponge that will hold the moisture, so it's like a win-win. I got that tip, it's not my own ingenuity, sorry. I got that tip from Epic Gardening on YouTube, as well as Jacques in the Garden. So it's 2 friends that do a lot of gardening together, and then they show their own individual gardens and techniques. I've been devouring their content, so after you finish my video, you should go check out their videos, okay? Right, Mom? You're gonna do that. Okay, so I have my seeds set out here of where I want to plant them. I have my plastic tags, I have a Sharpie, and I have a cup of coffee. So I'm ready to get going on this. Okay, now I'm ready to get going on this. So I'm going to plant all of these Carolina Reaper seeds. There's actually quite a bit more in here than I thought there would be. Usually there's between 12 and 16. The package says a minimum 10. They sometimes don't always germinate. They're a very difficult pepper to grow. They are the teenagers of the pepper world. So I have, let's see, almost 20 seeds here. And I have allotted myself 12 little spaces. So I think I might do 2 in each. I probably won't even weed them if I can help it, just because if I get 2, I'll do them in separate corners of the tray. If I get 2 in one and they're growing, I'll try to separate them while they're young and put them in their own pots, just because last year I planted 16 seeds and I ended up with 1 plant. So I think I'm just gonna do 1 in each corner of the cell. So like diagonal. Just so I can make sure they have some growing space. I'm not doing more than 2 seeds per cell, by the way. I think if I do more than that, they'll get too root bound or be competing for space and whatnot. So this is my method of madness for today. Oh, there's a lot of seeds in here. I have actually planted 24 seeds and I've got 3, 6, I have 7 left. Wow, they gave me over 30 seeds. I'm making sure everyone's got 2. I think I'm gonna, I don't like doing this. I think on one of the 6 packs, I'm gonna do 3 in each, just because they do have a low germination rate. They're so picky. Okay. All right. So I just set the seeds on top and then I will go in with a little container of dirt and cover it up, okay? So I want to mark this second section of Carolina Reapers. So I've been marking mine with what kind of pepper it is. It's a Carolina Reaper. And at the end here, I put an S:217. So I know I started seeds on 217. And on the back, I just put BC for Baker Creek. So I know where I got the seeds from. If I were to start 2 different type of Carolina Reapers from different seed companies, I might be interested to see how well these seeds do versus another company. When I transplant this, I have space too, and I'll put a T: and the date I transplant it. That way when I go to tag it in the garden, I'm able to see like, okay, it took this long between seeding them and actually transplanting them. So I'm trying to be a little bit more conscious in how I'm doing that this year. Trying anyway. Will it work? We'll see. So these seeds in the brown paper, they're ones that I've saved myself. I never try to get my hopes up with these. Sometimes the peppers are very easily cross-contaminated, so they may not be viable seeds. So, I mean, I'm just gonna try it. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work, and then I'll just reuse the dirt in something else. Sometimes it does work, so it's always a surprise. Okay, so now I have all my seeds in. I'm going to just gently smush the seeds down in wherever they are. Make sure that they don't accidentally get picked up on your fingers. I just don't want them sitting right on top. I am going to top off each, like the whole tray actually, with some more seed starting mix, but I want them to kind of be in place a little bit. I don't want to lose anything. Some of them you'll notice I have seeds closer together, so I actually ran out of Sugar Rush Peach, excuse me. So I had one little section of those, and then I just did the chiltepin peppers, the ones that are native here. I did those here. I didn't want a whole lot, so I felt better doing just 4 of them instead of a whole 6. And I did the same down here. I didn't realize that I had very few lemon spice jalapenos left from Baker Creek, so I just went ahead and planted extra habaneros because we always want more habaneros. And then this section is actually not a pepper, it is cumin, but it needs that heat, that hot heat pad underneath it, so I'm treating it like a pepper. Now I'm just going to top it off with the dirt that I put up here in this cup. I'm probably going to make a massive mess in my kitchen, but it is what it is. I'll clean it up. So if you, like I had just had that random chunk for whatever reason, so just make sure that you break that up. You don't want that just sitting on top. Your seeds may not be able to make it through, and so we did all that for nothing. So just make sure you break it up, and then I'm gonna actually pat it down. Get some more in the middle first. Eee. I'm trying to pat the seeds down and the dirt like where it is. I'm trying to not move it so much just because some of the seeds are really small and I don't want to accidentally push them into a different cell. So I really don't think my cayenne pepper seeds are going to take. They were ones I saved myself and they just didn't look good, so I don't think, I'm not helpful for those. The Grandpa's Home right here, it's another small hot pepper. Those seeds looked much better than my cayenne seeds. The cayenne ones just did not look, I don't know if they were maybe cross-pollinated and just they're not gonna take. I'm gonna try them, but when all the other peppers start popping up with their cute little leaves, if these don't come up, then I'm just gonna cut my losses and try something else. It usually takes about 21 days ish for peppers to germinate, so I will check in on them every single day obsessively, but knowing when they should pop up, that was too much, knowing when they should pop up will help, especially in this scenario where I'm like, you know, I'm not betting on that actually working. So if it's been over 21 days and I still have nothing, I'll probably just try to plant something else there. So knowing that window of when things should be coming up is helpful. It is also not a law that it will come up in 21 days. So it's a double-edged sword, really. Oh, I still have some showing here. These ones are actually really small. These are Aji seeds. They are the most expensive pepper in the world, pound for pound. They're Peruvian, and they are amazing. What I do is I just pick a whole bunch of ripe ones off the plant, set them out to either dry in the dehydrator or in like a nice dry spot, and dry them out, put them in an old pepper grinder, and I just grind them up. Like, they're so good on eggs, and honestly, it's anything. If you like spice, you should definitely try growing these, but you cannot save the seeds. They are so easily cross-pollinated, so I rebuy my seeds every year or two. Okay, so I'm going to get my mister bottle and mist the top to make sure it's damp, and then I'll probably even put a splash of water in the bottom of this, put the dome on, and then put it underneath the grow light. And then this tray is done. All I have to do is do my spreadsheet, make sure I double check myself before I double rack myself. So there's the first tray. I have this mister. It is really nice because when you start like really squeezing it, it has a nice long like extended spray, if you will. So if you pump it a few times, like, it really gets going. It has a really nice fine mist. The only thing it's really blowing around are the perlite, which is, I mean, it's so light, it's so like airy that it just flies around anyway. So as long as it's not my seeds flying around. I want to really make sure to get the edge pieces right along the edges everywhere, because those seem to dry out the quickest. I think because these clear covers are not like foolproof, so it very easily can dry out on the edges. So I always try to soak that spot the most, and then I keep an eye on it while it's actually growing. Okay, so there's that one. I hate that they put their price tags like literally in the middle of the lid. Okay. Ta-da! Sometimes what I do just to make sure it's a good germination is that I'll take those little binder clips and I'll actually clip the sides down so it gives it a good seal, because it kind of bows out right here on the edges, on the long edges. So I'll clip it, especially since this is going to go on a heating mat. So there is tray number 1 done. A lot of times on the outside right here in a metallic Sharpie or a sticker or something, I'll label this one tray 1. So when I make my spreadsheet, it's just very clear, it's clearly marked tray 1, and then when I look on my spreadsheet, it will be also labeled tray 1. So that is what I do. We are ready to start the garden for 2023.